My experience in CHAMP, yes, I did it last year. I wasn't a student. I came the first time in the front of my head with a big leather stigma because I keep a secret to myself, to my friends, to my community. And when I started the study, I started thinking about it. The psychotherapy you talk about, I think it's work. So they give me the tools, reach out for the community, the knowledge, the courage to be who I am. I'm Evana Ortigoza, I'm a trans woman, and I'm positive, and I feel proud who I am. The student was the most amazing program I did because for that reason, I grow as a person. I grow as a leader in the community. Now I'm free. They give me wings to fly. I already opened myself. I am HIV positive. Even it's in my resume. In a month ago, I get my first job in Pride, Toronto, and my resume said, thank you, and my resume said, I'm HIV positive. I'm free. I sleep better. My health is better. I sleep better. What can I say? It's a heavy weight I have in my back before. I was blind. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. I don't know if I have future or if I have goals. Well, I have it, and I will do. I'm not going to die for HIV. And remember that I'm the face for HIV and AIDS. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum, shalom, shanti, and peace be with each and every one of you. When Kenneth was putting us through that exercise, I thought for once he was a vacation marketer, taking us to beautiful places. And that's exactly what I have learned from being involved with a number of HIV awareness initiatives in the city, especially the present one, is that ACT gave me the opportunity to recognize that whatever place life's history has brought me or anyone else, I need to accept that. However, I do not need to live with that for the rest of my life. I have to search for that beautiful place. In this case, I was somewhere in the Amazon. And I have to use that opportunity that life presents to me through your own interactive experiences and the research that has been offered to the expertise team to give therapy to myself. And therefore, in my work with HIV positive folks in the Muslim community and out of the Muslim community over the years in the prison system, as being a chaplain myself, and a number of other initiatives with students in education, I have given this example over and over when we had our exercise with the lady who was the bus driver, and she was driving the bus down the 401, and all the passengers that came into the bus actually ensured that she wasn't on track by telling her she is no good, she's a refugee, her accent is miserable, they do not understand her, she doesn't belong to this part of the city, etc. And each time she heard that passenger, she swerved from the 401 until we were all ditched in some corner of the 401. However, in the second incident of that exercise, each time as the passenger enters the bus, she ignored them. She said to us, get in the bus. And each distractor found himself or herself at the back of the bus where they belong. And she kept aiming for the right away. And that gave her the opportunity to be on the express lane to our own salvation, our own success. I've used that example over and over, and in terms of the social justice piece, I recognize that collaboration with other groups is very important to form allies. So, for example, last year, the Muslim community embarked on the first time a conference on HIV awareness, and we had a number of participants who were here today with us, spoke bravely in a mosque for the first time. We have produced a brochure that has now gone international. I just took copies of those brochures to Guyana, and that has been made useful in that country. It's online. I have written articles, and I have even defended people of a certain sexual orientation that not because of their orientation, it means that they're eligible for discrimination. Not at all. It's not within our faith perspective, and neither is it within our Canadian paradigm as Canadian citizens. So the social justice piece has actually brought me recently to the important symposium called Faith in the City, where I had people like Dale and Josephine and others and Alan. As you know, he is sitting there, he's bringing light to the room. He brought light to the entire City Hall. Through his team, they were able to talk about HIV and refugee and health to City Hall, of all places, in a symposium called Faith in the City. And I was instrumental in ensuring that workshop was part of the grander scale of things, so that not only participants in the city could hear about it, but political leaders could know about it, faith leaders could be part of it, and more importantly, people who are suffering from those initiatives or lack of those initiatives, they could have the validation that there are people who are there looking out for themselves. So, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, my appeal to you is that whatever work has been put into this program over the years, there is a lack of faith leaders and their participation. There's a lack of leaders generally in the city and their participation. And that alienated feeling among victims or rather those who are living that reality every day continues unabated because very few people want to make that difference. You and me, therefore, can make that difference by standing up, by saying no to discrimination, by saying yes to funding for continued research and for health, especially with the refugee situation on their health. And finally, I would like to say that the team that we have worked with over the last year and the year before, it has become part of family. And you know that because when Christian posts things on Facebook, you know you're part of the family. Thank you very much and have a wonderful evening.
So my name is Gloria, and I am a Toronto-based filmmaker. And the kind of work that I do, I would call it, I like to create aesthetic excellence that has social impact. Some of the people I've made films for the Tourette Syndrome Foundation of Canada. I've made films for Organic Meadows, the Dairy Co-op. I've made films for the Ontario Arts Council's Ontario Dances program, as well as my own personal films. And everything that I do, I want to affect social change. So you would think that I would, when I was asked to participate in the CHAMP study, that I would be a natural fit for participation. But I have to be honest with you, the prevailing emotion that I had was one of embarrassment. And let me explain why. For the last few years, I have been living the life of a what I would call mostly heterosexual woman, middle class, mother of a 3-year-old, and that's kind of been my life. I haven't really been politically active in a really long time outside of my filmmaking. And I felt kind of like, what could I contribute? What could I possibly have to say in this discussion that would be meaningful or that would be helpful. But I'm going to share something with you guys. One of the reasons why I felt like, I really should do this was because a few years ago, my husband was diagnosed with hepatitis C. And for those of you who know anything about it, it's there's some certain similarities. And I remember when my husband was going through the treatment, he was very open about it. He told everybody. He didn't try to hide it. He told his workplace. He told all of his friends and family. And we faced a certain amount of, I have to be honest with you, a certain amount of social stigma and judgment. Stuff that it's really interesting, like, because you just don't really think about it when it's not really in your life, and then it affects you, and, family members and friends ask you questions like, so are you going to stay with him? Stuff like that. And so I thought, okay, well, what I learned from this experience and from my husband's example was, okay, for us to really grow as a society, really come together as a human family, these are issues that affect all of us and that we all have to learn to speak openly about. And so despite my feeling like, I'm not really good enough, I participated. And I just want to speak a little bit about what the experience was like. I have to say it was transformational. The group was a very wide and varied group of people, like from all walks of life with different ethnic backgrounds, different religious backgrounds. And it was really kind of amazing to see how we were all affected by the experience. I saw, church ladies who would be told by their church leaders that homosexuality was wrong and that, people with HIV and AIDS were to blame. I saw them, from their experience, speaking about it, standing up to their church leaders and saying, no, what you're saying is wrong. I saw, religious leaders who might have come from a background in which they thought this was, bad or what have you, standing up in their communities and saying, no, I'm taking a stand against HIV and AIDS stigma. And I was so incredibly impressed, and all of us really opened up in terms of our empathy for each other. And I learned that all of us, we all have a place, we all have a voice, and we can all help in whatever small way that it is. So in terms of what I've taken away, and it really was this amazing experience around community building and communication and problem solving, and it's made me so much more aware and more willing to be active, more willing to put myself out. I volunteer regularly now at my church, which is very gay positive and very politically left-leaning. I continue to make my films, all of them for marginalized groups. And I just look for more opportunities like this to be open to helping and sharing and being honest and not afraid to speak about my experience and, sharing other people's experiences. So I would really encourage all of you to continue to participate and be a part of this group. Thank you very much.